It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will.
And so now it's 53 days since one LaMelo, 4-month-old, was killed in broad daylight in Biloxi. And 53 days since this case has been turned over to the Biloxi PD. At least 3 other jurisdictions could very well have been involved in the shooting. No word as to whether the men who were part of that shooting are on administrative leave. It was suggested, but not confirmed, that the state troopers and the deputy, as well as the member of the Gulfport PD, were on administrative leave. I don't know whether that means desk duty or what. I've stopped asking questions about it. Typically, when there's a police-involved shooting, that is the case. But it's been 53 days now, Ro. And one would wonder. Last word we received from the investigators is that they're still waiting for ballistics. There were, after all, over 30 shots, as we have counted, that was made that day, not necessarily knowing that all of those shots actually landed into the vehicle that was holding a 4-month-old child and his father, and use that term loosely again. So we will keep you posted. We will be very vigilant, and the next order of business would be actually that information, the investigation turned over to the DA, and usually, but not necessarily, the DA will call for a grand jury. That grand jury will evaluate that information to determine whether or not there was a crime, or there was enough evidence for a charge. Not that there was a crime, but there's enough evidence to charge someone. And then from there, you either will have a trial, or you will follow the recommendations of the grand jury. I do know that there are some internal investigations that has been confirmed as to each of the agencies now are evaluating, have done some internal investigations as to who, what, when, where, and how did what, when, and how on that day, to determine whether or not the agencies were following policy. So you've got 2 things, all of which can result in disciplinary actions. One could be a matter of law, and the other could be a matter of policy. But all of those hopefully will reveal why it was that after the shooting stopped, that poor baby cried and was raced to a helicopter and taken to the hospital. That we need to find out. And once that happens, then at the very least, we, the society, will know whether we bear some responsibility. I did find out something else, though. And I came up with a commonality for why it is we have a lot of this gunplay. Assaults, period, but especially gunplay. There is a common link between just about every case, 99.9% of the time. A U.S. Marshal shared this with me, and it was like an aha moment. Well, he started talking about it, and I asked him, I said, well, so what have you found common among these guys who go on the lam? Because typically the marshals are called in when there's someone has escaped or someone's hard to catch. And he began to talk about it, and there's I guess most law enforcement know this. There are schedules that seasoned criminals will follow, Ro.
Schedules?
Yeah. In other words, like you have breakfast in the morning, lunch, you have lunch, and then at night you have supper. Usually,
Okay.
so somewhere in the morning around 7, 8 o'clock, you're going to have breakfast. Around 12 o'clock, you have lunch.
So common routines.
Absolutely.
Like what?
And that's not the same when it comes down to those who are in the criminal subculture. And he shared them with me, and I'm going to share them with you. And of course, right now, that element is sleep. Breakfast for them is somewhere around 1:30, 2 o'clock.
PM.
That's just PM, yeah. This is the time when they sleep. They are nocturnal animals, he said. He said they go like from sunrise, from sundown, a little after sundown, to sunup. Are you following me?
Yes.
Because I was asking, I said, well, I noticed a lot of these crimes happen like, after 12 o'clock, midnight, and so forth. Actually, to the point where now some clubs, even here on the coast, are deciding to close up at 2. Because they realize after 2 o'clock, that's when the humbug starts. You know what humbug is?
I do.
Okay. They still call it that?
They do.
Okay. People get humbuggish when they get a little something in them,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get to that in a minute. So he was saying that they have gotten it down to a science, where the schedule, which is why they usually are able to apprehend some of their suspects without much fanfare. So they'll wait until.
So the patterns are so common
Yeah.
that they can apply them like a blanket,
Yeah.
and more often than not, it applies.
Yeah, of course they have some intel, but their intel now over all the times that they've gone to apprehend members of the criminal subculture now. They know that this time of the day, they just started going to bed. Sun comes up around 5:30, 6 o'clock. It's time that they crashing. So they're going to sleep, he says, somewhere around 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours. So they're getting up and having breakfast around 1:30, 2 o'clock. I'm telling you, this is what he told me. So that's when they have breakfast. Now, could you guess when they have lunch?
Nighttime.
Well, supper time, what we'd call it. So when we're having dinner, basically that's their lunch. They snack all throughout that, but for the most part, if you're going to sit down, they'll go to, they go to the restaurant, sit down and grab something around that time. And then, of course, thereafter, it is drinking time. So that's the absolute worst time to apprehend. Between 6:30, 7 o'clock at sunset.
PM.
Yeah.
Okay.
And until morning. That's when the humbug goes on.
Yeah.
And that's when they're not nearly as effective. He said during those days, and hopefully I'm not helping anybody out there, but he says during that time they're doing intel. They're confirming that the person they want is who they want. They're confirming because he's going to go in and out of certain houses and so forth, or pick up his little stash or whatever, find his honey, his money, that kind of stuff. So they're doing intel. They just follow you around, wait till you go to sleep, and catch you in your drawers. Well, usually he said they don't normally take the pants off. Don't have to. I mean, the drawers are just right there. They just put them down to the ankles, then they can go to sleep.
Yeah,
that's their pajamas they walk around in.
Yeah.
And so in that conversation, it dawned on me a commonality. I asked one question. I said, do they do drug tests? Said, yeah, once upon your being arrested. I said, what do you usually find intoxicants in their system? I said, yeah, how did you know? I said, it's a pretty easy guess. And you got to understand, these are not all drug users now. In other words, drug crimes. I'm talking assaults or murders. I said, let me guess. THC, you find that most often, don't you? I said, yeah. How'd you know? And alcohol? Yeah. And then, of course, he went into some other details of some other drugs as well. But I said, look, I guarantee you 99.9% of the time, those individuals, the shooters out here on the streets of Chicago, New Orleans, Boss Point, Jackson, I guarantee you, they were smoking weed. Now, I know some of you weed smokers out there, you're going to be upset and saying, oh, Rip Daniels are trying to put down weed. Yeah, I am. You don't have to guess. Folks, look, can we have this conversation now? It's generationally different. You guys didn't invent marijuana. reefer, weed. You call it that brown, that white now. We call it brown heroin. But, or skag. But there was a time not very long ago when people would indulge in marijuana to get high. And for those of you who don't know this, look, I'm not trying to sell you on it because I'm not. But I'm just simply describing a time. No admissions here, by the way. Don't ask me how I know it. But people indulged in marijuana to get high. And getting high meant, okay, you happy. It was a stimulant. And it was clandestine. You didn't want anybody to know, but only your few folks to know around you. You know, someone you can laugh with, watch Saturday Night Live, eat some corn chips. You know, drink some Valley High.
Some what?
That's wine. It's actually Kool-Aid. It is. It's Kool-Aid with alcohol in it.
Okay, all right.
And so, but you gotta just bear with me here because it's Friday. I want to have this conversation. I do. And it was a get high moment. I cannot think of anyone during that time, people that I knew who indulged, who really thought about going out and wanting to commit a crime. You were high. You didn't trust yourself to commit a crime. You wanted to eat or make love or sleep. I mean, that's the sum total of what the weed then really wanted you to do. Now, don't ask me how I know it, but I'm just going by what people I saw. You know, the whole idea of smoking some weed and then going in and robbing a bank, that just was, that just didn't go together. I mean, you couldn't indulge in acid or mushrooms or LSD and do anything that is going to require some effort, some physical kind of activity, and you certainly didn't want to be around people.
No. It'll blow your high.
You don't want to be around people, especially a lot of people. Now, look, folks, I'm talking 1960s, 1970s. And it wasn't something you can do every day. Never once would think, okay, yeah, well, you got to do this every day. Now, this is then. I'm just telling you. Different time. And then something happened. I don't know when it was. Came around the 1980s, around gangster rap and all of this. Someone come up with now some kind of crunk mentality where it is, I mean, you can't just have a pencil joint. You got to now have a stogie. You got to have a big old burn up half the weed. Heaven forbid it had seeds in it. It'd be popping. You'll blow up a whole polyester suit with a stogie like that. I mean, it's like it wasn't enough that you get high. You had to get crunk out of your mind. And everybody had to know it. Everybody had to know it. Hang on, I know it's a little tickle, but I'm going somewhere here, guys. It wasn't enough that you're able to relax, sit down, drink some Lancer's Rosé or some Mateus. That's when you got a little more upscale from Valley High and Ripple. Yeah. And you just want to, lay back. Listen, look at your lava lamp. That's not enough. Now you got to do some headbanging. You've got to be banging the walls here. And it's not enough that all you can do is lean back. You got to do it with a whole lot of other people, and other people got to see you lean back and say, "Oh, you hot." Instead of being clandestine and not wanting people to know. There was a time not long ago you went to the Shalimar. Everybody wore dark shades. Even when you weren't smoking, you wore dark shades just to give the impression that maybe, you were in style. But no one wanted to see your cherries on your eyes turn red, right? You didn't want people to know. Didn't want the cops to know. 80s roll around, and so now there's crunk. And then doctors came up with something that I just thought was just crazy. He's self-medicating. We just called him a junkie. You had a Jones. You ain't no self-medicating. We know that you're a Jones. You got a Jones. You got a monkey on your back. You ever heard that before?
I have, yes.
That's why I keep you around, Ro. I know. And you don't need to be laughing at me over there.
I'm not. I'm not at all.
They could hear it. I can see you.
I'm not laughing at all.
Yes, he's self-medicating. That's what he's doing. He's self-medicating. Listen to me. Ladies and gentlemen, I grew up around Skid Row drunks, you'd call them, but I would call them just incredible characters in my neighborhood. That was one by the name of Edward Tutu.
The bishop?
No, he's no kin to Bishop Tutu.
Oh, okay.
In South Africa. Really?
Okay.
The Anglican pastor, no. By the way, did you know his church now is a jazz bar in South Africa?
Really?
He was a hip bishop.
He was a hip bishop.
No, Edward Tutu, and look, I say he's no relation. Probably not. I don't think so. That wasn't his real name. Edward Tutu, I came to know when he was sober. And by the way, he was a drunk. And he will tell you he's a drunk. He did not self-medicate. He liked Thunderbird, and periodically he'd have a quart of beer, or 2, or 3. Or maybe he'll have some what we call stoop. You know what stoop is?
Stoop? That's that homemade, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a homemade.
It's a homemade.
Moonshine is a little upscale. You get that in DeLille. Stoop is what the mess you just kind of very quickly do. Mr. Teague was special in that. They made it by the over by the ball diamond there, by the hog pen. He kept hogs as well, and so it covered the smell of sour mash. And any rate, so Edward Tutu would roam the streets, broad daylight, and was very, very intelligent. And I had an opportunity to sit down and chat with him. But before I did, I as a young boy, would poke fun at him. And my father caught me doing that. Beat the hell out of me. And you don't need to be an expert to correct my daddy. He's gone now. He got me here. And I deserved that beating. And I came to learn some things. I learned that my daddy had the ultimate respect for Edward Tutu because of Edward Tutu's sacrifice. He never told me what they were, so I decided to talk to Edward Tutu, and so we sit on the stump. Used to cut off trees, and you literally sit on the stump. I sit there on the stump and started talking to him. Come to find out he was a Navy seaman, World War II. Had a family, gotten married, love, and loss. Which is why he was living with his dad, Mr. Mose. Only person that man would ever fight would be his own daddy. Probably would fight his own daddy because his daddy would put him out. Because he'd say one thing ugly to his daddy, and that was that. But the point is that he was a drunk. He knew he was a drunk. He understood he was a drunk. He wasn't self-medicating. He was a drunk. Didn't want to hurt anybody but himself. The most he did was peed on himself and woke up in a ditch. Edward Tutu's in the ditch down there. You want to come get him out? Yeah, go get him out. Periodically, he'd work in the daytime, doing little other odd jobs, just enough to get him a half pint. Everybody understood it. But he wasn't under any kind of delusion that somehow or another he was anything more than a drunk when he was drinking. When he was not drinking. He can read, write, and do long division. He can even speak French. This Navy seaman, I learned a lot from. Even after he was drunk, he would intermingle some of his gibberish with some of that, and he'd laugh at you as if somehow or another he knows something you don't. I'm drunk, but I ain't stupid. He said to me once, when he was under the influence, I was sitting out on Victory, playing on cans. I used to beat drums on cans, garbage cans, when they put them out there, and they were made of tin then. And so I was out beating on the cans, and he said, "Hey, boy, what you doing?" I said, "I'm playing my drums." I said, "Boy, there ain't no drums, there's a can." He said, "Did you see anybody running down the street down there?" "No, sir, I didn't." Then he started running. Turned around. "You see somebody now?" Now look, you would have had to have been there. The look on my face was, "Huh?" He started laughing. You know, I know that's the kind of stuff drunk people say. But it was endearing.
Yeah.
It was endearing because Edward Tutu would tell on people. He'd tell you if he saw me doing something wrong. Now he's not going to take the responsibility of stopping me, but he's going to let my daddy know.
He telling you for playing drugs?
Oh, there's no doubt about that. That's what he would do. What's your point, Rip? When you are under the influence, you are under the influence. Act like it. Don't try to tell yourself that you're doing something smart. When you are high, drunk, high, you have to tell yourself, oh, no, I'm I was thinking that maybe, I bet you I can jump this fence backwards. I bet you I can do it. I bet you I can jump this fence backwards and go into a full split, put my hands behind my back, and pick up the handkerchief with my teeth. How is telling you that? You're under the influence. Now, that was then. That was then. Alcohol, reefer. That has changed now, Ro. That has changed completely. Even, from weed to alcohol, it's not enough now that you'll have a little scotch and milk or a little gin and tonic. Now, you have to have 5 or 6 different alcohols in the same glass. And that includes Don Q151.
Like you need more than that.
No, really. Now, hang on, folks. It just seems as though there's an overboard. Like you can't just have a pencil joint. You got to have a big stogie. And then
about blunts, folks.
The experts come along and justify that by saying, you're just self-medicating. And it's, no, there's something else happening here in my view, folks. Because I said, well, 99.9% of these folks are on THC. Yes, THC is in their system. I really do believe on the streets of Chicago, it's particularly when it comes to young African-American males, the gateway drug to committing crime is weed. There, I said it. Go ahead and blame me for it. I said it. And weed ain't what it used to be. Now it is, weed has got dope in it. Now you have individuals who feel that they have to smoke weed every day. Now, and if that's you, look, I'm talking about you. You do realize you're under the influence. And although it might help you to maintain what you think is cool, the truth is the rest of us are looking at you going, you see what he just did? He's sitting there in the doorway for 5 minutes and hasn't moved. And he ain't talking about nothing. So, yeah, I'm cool, man. I have to do it every... No, listen. And we as society have just simply felt that, we've been convinced that, all right, that's how it's supposed to be. That ain't how it's supposed to be. You somebody sitting there with a cheese whiz and crackers drooling in front of a television or in his socks and underwear playing video games at 3 a.m, he ain't high. That's something else. I'm just saying. Because even to the point of not even wanting to indulge in sex. Now, back to the crime. All of these individuals, even locally, look, I have not seen the autopsies. I haven't. I hadn't tested the urine test, but I have had enough conversations with law enforcement officers that have told me, yeah. Because when you're arrested, of course, they're going to do a blood test. And you know what? 99.9% of those were intoxicants. They had something in their system. And usually it was weed. And alcohol. But a whole lot of weed. Bro, I'm going to go on the record. There's something in the weed. You don't think so?
There could be, but I think it's more to it than that. I think there's more to it than that. I don't dispute what you're saying. I'm just saying that there are factors other than just folks getting high, because not all weed does the same thing. But at the same time,
there you go. It's intoxicating.
But at the same time,
under the influence.
But at the same time,
What?
Not everyone responds the same way.
I understand that. That goes without saying. Not everybody's
However,
going
that
out.
being said, you are under the influence.
You're under the influence.
You have changed your brain chemistry. There's no disputing that.
For someone to think in broad daylight they can pull out an Uzi, shoot up a car, and get away with it.
Yeah.
This person is under the influence. I mean, that is not logical. Yeah, what my hope is that with this conversation, mom, dad, the uncle, aunt, the rest of you guys who now are sitting up listening to Rip while he's asleep, you will say to this individual when he wakes up around 2, 3 o'clock for his breakfast, "Hey man, you're going to get off that weed. You know, yeah, man."
Especially if they are under the age of 25 years old.
Well, absolutely, positively. Ping, ping. I'll give you the bell on that. There's something really wrong when you are constantly under the influence, folks. And although you might think it works for you, the rest of us see you. I talked to a young man who said he does it every day, and this person, he knows his way around. I mean, actually, when I say that, he knows how to extract CBD. He came out of California, worked in one of those manufacturing kinds of deals. And look, I'm telling you, I mean, they actually have the THC by itself and smoke it from a bong, and it's like they still have bong.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and I mean, it's like white. I ain't talking brown here. I mean, no smoke, just one hit, quit. And I thought to myself, man, that's gonna blow your head off every day. And then he will do things like get to a stop sign and wait for it to turn green. I know that's what he's doing. He doesn't say that. But I sit there with him, 2-3 minutes, and I look at him and I go, it ain't gonna turn green. He looks at me and he laughs and he says, yeah, I know. If he's listening to me right now, he know I'm not lying. Look, you're not high. You're delusional. There are some things here. And then he just drives on and plays like, oh, okay, it's no big deal. It is a big deal, bro. There are moments that you forget. You just, you walk around with the same pants on for 4 days, or shirt, T-shirt, and you act as if nobody can see the brown around the collar. And no, he ain't changed his T-shirt in 4 days. Don't he smell himself? What I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, and indulge me, it's Friday. There's something wrong here, but there is a connection. I guarantee you, if we're able to get a handle on the drugs, the intoxicants, as I might say, and not just weed, but we can start there. If we're able to get a handle on that, if you're able to get a handle on that in your household, because you guys are rearing young people who are going to go kill someone. If you're able to get a handle on that, you might save them. You might save someone else too. Does this sound far-fetched, bro?
Not at all.
I mean, I don't know how else to put this. What I'm seeing right now, the carnage in the street, a 16-year-old getting a gun from a 17-year-old, and they're going by and they're shooting someone on the front porch in the house. You just got to ask yourself, well, what do they own? Under any other ordinary circumstances, they wouldn't do this. In other words, some men or boys have to pour themselves some courage. In our day, it was,
roll themselves.
You had a little whiskey, and then you do the old cowboy thing, dunk one, and then, okay, yeah, I got some courage now. But now it's really, really whack. And then, of course, you add to that the meth or the coke or the crack or whatever, and then you got someone in a dream world here who now is lethally armed. So I say to my law enforcement friends out there, I get it. I really do get it. I really do get it. I understand. I understand why And by the way, it's very loud. When you smell it, you know that at some point somebody's going to think they're doing the right thing, and they don't look at themselves as being high. They look at this as medication. They look at this as, this is just me. I'm going to smoke. It's just me. And don't get me wrong, most of the time they're lucid. You don't know, but you do know that they're kind of slow. You do know that it's kind of lethargic. Kind of like that, and sometimes just a robot. You know, you just they're going through the motions, and you know they're just going through the motions, not really understanding the whole mission of what you do. But I just go there, take the square peg, put it in the square hole, and go home and take another toke. You might think this funny, but I'm telling you, I have enough evidence to show that if we get a handle on the intoxication, we might just get a handle and slow up the carnage. Because America is well armed, and you're not going to put that cork back on that bottle now. It's not going to happen. And so our task now is to make sure we're able to tell ourselves, no, man, I can't do that. I'm loaded. That's what loaded people think about. I'm supposed to pee on myself and fall in the ditch. That's what I do because I'm under the influence. I can't sit here and tell myself that what I'm thinking right now is rational. No, that ain't rational. I'm not gonna get away, and this person's gonna be dead, and I'm gonna be in jail for life, or I'm gonna be facing the death penalty. Now that's rational. I don't want either one of those. Now, if in fact your medication is so potent that you can't do that, then you don't need to do it. I'm going to the phones. It's Friday. We talk about whatever. Just my way of just trying to make some sense of this and hopefully offer some advice and some warnings to individuals who are waking up, who are going to see someone wake up at 1 or 2 o'clock for breakfast, take a toke, and start thinking about doing some irrational-ish. And they're going to expect for you to understand it because it's their medicine. We'll be back.
If you missed it, check out It Is a New Day with Rip Daniels on Podbeam, YouTube, and itisanewday.com. When you don't listen, you miss something.
One song, too many. Guys at the party starting to look silly. We're going home. Time to take your drunken ass home. It's alright. If you don't know what to do with yourself, take your drunken ass home. Barmaid's the time, boss is too. Just look at me and I know what to do. We're going home.
Yeah, that's where you need to go.
Time to take your drunken ass home. It's all right.
All right, folks, good morning to you. Rip Daniels here. A lot going on. We're going to talk about the collapse of a building there in Miami. You know, I suggested that there was some problems there with soil, and without even knowing. And we're going to talk about that, especially if you're a contractor out there or a plumber. You learn a lot from plumbers. My plumber, Tyron, really kind of predicted quite a few things here. Not necessarily here in Miami, but just there's something happening in the ground, and no one knows it better than a plumber. Mm-hmm. So I'll share with you what he shared with me here.
We're also going to be getting into the Justice Department now suing Georgia over their voter suppression law.
Very good. And then today is the big day, ladies and gentlemen, a huge day that maybe is overshadowed now by the carnage there in Miami. But it's a huge legal day because this is the day that the murderer of George Floyd is facing sentencing. And we're going to focus on that in a very big way. What do you think he should get? It's the prosecutors recommend 30 years. You think that's enough? The family would like to hear him say something and be remorseful, but he's not. Who cares? So I'd like to know what you think would be a just sentence for one Derek Chauvin, former Minneapolis police officer, who is credited with the torture and murder of one George Floyd. So let's see what else we have. Oh, yeah, and then there's a deal on the infrastructure. Or not, maybe not. We'll see. To the phones, Larry, you're first up. Larry, good morning. How are you? Hey, Larry. Oh, I'm sorry, where are you? Right there behind that six.
Yes,
Good morning, Larry.
Good morning. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing good, Larry. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I just want to have a little back and forth with you and challenge your assertion that intoxicants cause criminality. Because in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, you do what you do. You use anything you can as an excuse for what you've done, other than you made that choice.
I agree with you.
With that being said,
I agree with you wholeheartedly. We have no disagreement on that.
Okay, so when you say that marijuana leads to criminality, I have to believe that that's an unfair assumption because, like I said, if you choose to do something criminal, it was already on your mind. Now, if you use some kind of intoxicant to say that it boosted you to do what you already wanted to do, then go ahead and use that as an excuse.
Yeah.
But the fact remains, and fact is fact, and a lie is a lie, is that you chose to do that.
Yeah.
Whatever you use as a tool or a stimulant to make you do what you already want to do, it was already on your mind. It was a choice you made. So it wasn't intoxicant. It wasn't that you used. I hate when people use, drugs or you had a bad situation or this as an excuse for what you made a choice to do.
All right,
Now,
so let's
look at the situation.
So you want me to retort? Because the first thing I want to do is I want to agree with you by saying, okay, yeah, you that's what you wanted to do. If you were, you realize that if you were an a-hole and you decide to drink more gin or smoke more reefer, you're just going to become a bigger a-hole. You agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. So we're in agreement. Here is what I said. There's commonality 99.9% of the time between those individuals using guns and shooting other people or assaulting. And my criticism is designed for those who would do that. My hope is that those who are around them when they wake up around 1 or 2 will understand and share with them, you know what now? I know you thinking you can get away with X, Y, and Z. However, you realize when you under the influence, you're under the influence. You can't get away with that. You're not going to get away with it. You're not thinking clearly. You got me? My point here is not that marijuana causes you to do that. It's gonna heighten whatever intoxicant is going to heighten whatever it is you are. However, it impairs your thinking. And I think that's what's not acknowledged. I think that the individuals who go out and will shoot up a car or a house or what have you, number one, will indulge for some courage, but number two, will tell themselves, well, with the help of the intoxicant, in this case marijuana, yeah, this sounds like a good idea. I'm just going to do it. I mean, rock and rollers were jumping out of buildings because they were on LSD. They thought they could fly.
Well, now my retort to that is, I mean, you have people, in history, Jeffrey Dahmer, the Columbine shooting, the Muhammad, I forgot his name, that were doing the shooting, riding around shooting people. It never once spoke of these people, being high on some hallucinogen. You just spoken of they did what they did. But to that point, it's like saying that people say, well, the devil made me do it. I think that's just you're an excuse. We're doing what you wanted to do.
Yeah, but we're talking about apples and oranges here. We are in agreement that whatever it is you've decided. The question is when you decide to do it. What I'm sharing with you and what you have not refuted. Well, you haven't refuted the fact that 99.9% of the individuals who are doing the carnage, the shooting with the guns, are under the influence.
Well, I just showed you a few instances where there was never spoken of anyone under influence. But when you say under the influence,
I can give you a whole lot more where they were under the influence. I mean, when you look at what I call the terrorists there in Las Vegas, Nevada. I mean, he was certainly under the influence of alcohol in a very big way.
But the point I'm making is that there are some that's going to do what they do, regardless if they're under influence or not. It doesn't necessarily have to be the influence because, you have young kids that are under the influence of older kids telling them stuff and they doing stuff and they have a drug in their system, but they're out there killing people because they're under the influence of what they've been told. So under the influence can stem from not just drugs, but just, tutelage.
I don't understand your point. Are you disagreeing, or are you saying that there are other things you could be under the influence of?
The fact that
no one has said that you can't be under the influence of something. Larry, settle down. No one has said that there can't be other reasons why somebody kills somebody. I'm not saying that it's the only thing, but you've yet to refute what I just said. You've yet to refute that,
like I said, with marijuana can last in your system up over a month. So, say someone smokes a blunt or two in the beginning of February, and then all of a sudden, in the end of February, they mad, they disgusted, they want to go do something criminality, and they do it. Do you say, oh, well, he did it. He had marijuana in his system, so he must have been because he was under the influence of marijuana?
Well, it depends on how much.
But marijuana doesn't.
Yeah, it depends on how. I know you're defending marijuana. I'm gathering what you're saying, and I want to have the conversation. It depends on how much, right? In other words, what I'm suggesting to you is not everyone who smokes marijuana want to go out and shoot up the town. That's not what I'm suggesting at all. What I am telling you is that individuals who are under the influence have been killing people. And maybe the first way to detect whether their propensity, especially when you know they have a temper, is whether they are under the influence. Hang on, Larry. Hang on. We'll be back.
Get the info. Stay informed. It's a new day with Rip Daniels, the #1 talk show in South Mississippi on JZ 94.5.
All right, folks, good morning to you. Rip Daniels here. Thank you for joining us. Show is called It's a New Day. There's only one rule. No such thing as the right or wrong opinion. Good morning to my friends listening right now in Jackson, Tennessee. Also, my folks over there in Pensacola. 228-896-9455. That's the number to call. Show is called It's a New Day. It's only one rule now. No such thing as the right or wrong opinion. It's Friday. We talk about whatever. We put it all on the table and we gather it all up. And we're going to do that. However, I'm weighing in, I guess, my simplistic attempt to try to head off more shooting in the streets and carnage. We're talking about the fact that many of those who are doing the shooting are under the influence, mostly of THC, particularly when it comes to young African-American males. And, folks, I come from a time, and I'm sure it still exists, where there were people whereby one beer was too many and a case was not enough. I mean, I'm going to tell you, there's one individual whose name I won't call. He could not drink a beer without getting humbuggers. And he had to realize that.
A beer.
Look, what is your alcohol that causes a bad influence? In other words, your a worst part of your character to come out.
All of the brown ones.
All of the brown ones, really?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't do brown liquor at all. I don't like it.
I don't either anymore.
But tequila, I found out that tequila, after 3 shots of tequila,
tequila's tricky with me. I have to already be in a certain mood. Like if I'm already in a bad mood, if I had a long day, stressful day, I can't drink tequila to unwind. Right, that doesn't work. If I'm partying, having a good time, then tequila's okay.
In other words, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm talking about is understanding the effects of the intoxicant that you are indulging in. Now we can say weed, we can say whatever we want to say, but what determines too much is when you start behaving in such a way that's irrational. And you've got to own up to that, right? And it's my sincere hope this conversation somebody out there will go, you know what, man? Every time I end up smoking some weed, I'll end up locked up.
Yeah,
You
and
know
not everybody can smoke. Not everybody can smoke.
Not everybody can smoke. And then, of course, you got to know your limitations. I want to go back to my dear friend Larry. And, Larry, I appreciate your holding. And I want to make sure you understand that you don't have to defend the medical attributes of marijuana to Rip Daniels. I support medical marijuana, no doubt. But we can't ignore the effect of the fact that it is an intoxicant as well, right?
It is. It is. Well, first of all, let me just say thank you for even taking the moments of your time to even discuss it with me. But, all I'm saying is that, and I can use myself as an example, just because you use an intoxicant, it doesn't necessarily lead to violence. Rose said it best when he said that everything is not for everybody. Every individual reacts different.
Well, there you go. Well, hold on, because you said my name and you said something I said, so I need to clarify that. That's exactly what we're saying here. Not everything is for everyone. So if you do something that you see your homie doing and you think you can do that with the same experience that they have, but you don't, then you should not keep doing that. And absolutely, someone could. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, all we're doing now is getting to what we all agree is personal responsibility.
100%.
And we expect that out of every individual, every citizen in the United States. That is, as of the age of being considered an adult. We expect you to have personal responsibility.
But at the same time, Larry.
That just doesn't happen.
At the same time, Larry, when we see these young individuals don't have that personal responsibility, don't you think it's important for us to make sure that we let them know, hey, that might not be for you? I mean, you smoked that blunt, but then you went and tried to rob that convenience store, and then you got shot. Don't do that no more.
Without a doubt. Now, I tell, like I said, I work with the public. So I tell young people all the time, look, you don't need to be doing that. Y'all need to really be doing numbers for just a certain age because y'all mind brains are still developing. Y'all still developing who you're going to be. And all that does is interfere with what you're trying to become. I tell them that all the time.
Yeah, but I think we're missing the point here. And I think Ro and you are certainly, we all understand the personal responsibility, but it's responsibility after you are high. That is the problem. In other words, Edward Tutu said he was drunk. And so what we have to do is, when we know someone is under the influence and they're thinking something irrational, and look, trust me on this, they don't want to hear it, but you got to say, hey, man, you high right now. That don't make sense what you talking about doing. And here's what you did the last time that you were high. In other words, that no one is saying that everyone acts the same way, and no one is neglecting the responsibility of everyone before you indulge. But I think if you're going to be your brother's keeper, you've got to be honest with them and say, you know what, man, when you on that, you ain't right. You become a whole different person. You start thinking some stuff that, just way, way off track. And you've got to do that. And I don't think we do it enough.
I agree 100%.
Appreciate it.
You're right. We should tell our, hey, listen, you're right about that. Now,
right.
Whether or not they listen and how you have to go about making them listen can be one hell of a story.
Amen to that. Appreciate it. We'll be back.
WJZD FM Long Beach, Moss Point, Bay St. Louis, the all-new JZ 94.5.
All right, folks, good morning to you. Rip Daniels here. Thank you for joining us. Good morning, my friends listening right now in Baton Rouge and also Enterprise, Louisiana, way up north. 228-896-9455. It's Friday. We talk about whatever you want to talk about. Yeah, we're going to get to politics. I know you guys want to poke your head in it. But one last thing on this. It just seems as though there just seems generationally now it's not enough that you get high. Now you have to be completely crunk, blasted out your mind, and you must overdo it, and everybody's got to know, and then you've got to show, and then you're surprised at when you get busted or when you get stopped. And it's time for some common sense here, folks. You know, if you're hearing anything from Rip Daniels, what you're hearing is a plea for some kind of common sense. It's not working for you. You know, that kind of dope drug drama is just not working for you. There are some things you've got to realize work for you and don't work for you. And what we have to do as relatives and friends is say, hey, man, look, you know, whenever you on that, I can't be around you. You're not making any sense, you know, or you need to be careful with to what degree you do that, because you be talking some crazy stuff. It's really whack. I'm just telling you. And instead of just avoiding them, and instead of just saying, okay, that's just how they are, you know, because, you know, I love folks, you love someone and you want to help someone is my point.
Yeah, don't cop out.
No, don't cop out. Don't cop out. I can tell you right now, I had an officer to reach out over the break, and he said, Rip, you're absolutely right, that 99.9% of those involved with some kind of altercation or that ends up in a shooting is under the influence. I mean, being under the influence and using a firearm is never a good idea. Trust me on that. I mean, your reflexes are not good, first and foremost, and then secondly, you know, your thinking is off. All right, can I go to Jay here? Jay, good morning. Thank you for being patient, sir.
Good morning. How everybody doing?
Doing good.
All right. I just wanted to say that I agree with everything you're saying, but on top of what you're saying, with the lack of accountability that people that kids are given now, like they don't have that, they're not held accountable like they were in past times or whatever. So with that, with you know, with the intoxication, lack of accountability is really it's a recipe for disaster.
What do you mean
And
not held?
like Rose said,
What do you mean not held accountable? Who's not holding them accountable? I mean, if you
the
call
lack
it,
of like you were saying about single parents not giving their kids, especially boys, not holding them accountable for being men, like you were saying, like making a kid get up
right?
at a certain time, not letting them sleep all day and all that.
Right.
So with that being said, there is no accountability. Like, you know what I'm saying? They have nothing to look to work toward. You know what I'm saying? If I can stay here and sleep all day, if I can stay here and do this and not do that, not do this, not do that, or whatever, there is no accountability factor wherever they grew up at. So on top of that, so no accountability means that the stuff that they should have been doing or not been doing, they have not reaped any consequences for it. So life goes on. They go to indulging in drugs and everything, and they have no sense of accountability. They don't have that. They don't have that sense of, man, if I do this, I'm gonna go to jail, or man, if I do this, I'm gonna get in trouble.
Let me ask you something. Let me ask you something with accountability in mind. I might pose it at you too, Ro, and I might even go to Tracy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask everyone who calls in, and even put it on our Facebook page. Would you allow your underage, under 21-year-old child to smoke weed in your house?
No.
Why
No.
not? Why not, Jay?
Because me myself, I have certain standards. I don't do it. Like I'm not gonna allow you to do something in my house that I don't do that can bring ruckus and undue attention to my home.
Yeah. You know, I know. I just heard from a parent who says that it is better for her to allow him to smoke in the house than in the street because he won't get arrested. What would you say to her?
All right, which brings me back to that point of accountability. I feel like if it's a 21-year-old kid, well, 21 is not a kid anymore. If he likes to smoke weed, he needs to find him somewhere where he can do that, which means he shouldn't be in my house.
Would you allow him to drink a beer?
No. All that kind of stuff that go against what I do at my house, if I don't do it, you don't do it. So all that kind of stuff that you want to indulge in or whatever at the age of 21, if you like doing all that kind of stuff, it's time for you to spread your wings. You need to go get your own spot so that way you can mess on the floor and cover it up with the dope. That's what my pop told me.
I
appreciate you calling, Jay.
I have a little bit of a different perspective, but overall agree with Jay. Even if I do it, you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Especially if I do it, you're not going to do it because it's my house. And you can lie and cry and say that that's not fair. That's not fair, but it is fair because I pay the bills here. So, no, I would not let my under 21 or over 21-year-old child smoke weed in my house.
So let me ask you, why not?
I think again, it all plays into that age. You know, I think that really and truly, I wouldn't feel comfortable smoking with them or having them in my presence smoking unless they're over 25. And that has to do with brain development and the chemistry, the THC's effects on the brain of males under 25. So I stand by that. I've seen the effects firsthand. And secondhand.
You know, you bring up an interesting point based upon those stats that show that 99.9% of those involved with these assaults, African Americans especially, are under the influence. And I want you to know that a large number of those individuals are under 25. You were talking about your brain doesn't stop developing until somewhere around 25 years old, and that's an interesting point. And if you're smoking weed and here is your brain is steadily developing, that might explain why there's some stupid stuff. They're doing stupid stuff, right?
Right, and they're doing stupid stuff consistently after they get past 25, and that is because
they've affected it already.
Right, and if you are of a certain age, have a certain chemistry, there's no hard fast rule. Your brain will actually, or has the potential to actually stop developing. Yeah. At whatever age, you indulge to the point to where you affect it chemically to that point.
I mean, you got cameras everywhere. You go into a Dollar General store thinking, what, you're going to go in there and make $1 million and you're not going to be on film and you're going to get away? I mean, there's no thought going into this. And look, folks, my whole reason for even bringing this up is to say, look, if it's going to start at home, then we've got to start noticing it at home and saying, look, this you got to say to this person, that's not right. Look at what you're thinking about. You're thinking about doing this. They see you. You're not invisible.
Yeah.
And then you do the little caper and
then what?
You eat Reese's cups all the way back to the house. They drop the paper and
they see the paper cups. They come and get you based on the paper cups and the chocolate stains that you left all over the place.
What I'm saying is that you realize we're dealing with folks who are under the influence here, and no, I don't think it's self-medication. I think that what I think is that they need to know before they do this that they're acting irrationally.
Yeah.
And that hey, look, you don't need to smoke this.
Right.
Or look, when you smoke this much, guess what? You act a fool.
Yeah.
And so hopefully somewhere down the line, that drunk weed head, whatever, will say, I done had 2 joints, man. I'm thinking about stupid stuff.
Yeah.
I need to leave that alone. I need to not do this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Look, folks, somebody's got to have an honest, open conversation with the potential murderer before he murders. Mm-hmm. And while they're sitting around the house smoking on blunts, you guys say, look, no, none of y'all think about going to grab a gun right now because y'all are effed up. Pardon the expression, ladies. I'm sorry, but I'm trying to put it into some context that there are those who will understand. When you are messed up, when you are, you're not thinking rational. I am going to go get my gun. Yeah, there he is over there. I think I'm just going to kill him. In your mind right now, that might sound rational. Right? Well, it's not. because you're thinking in segments. You're thinking right now. You're not thinking what happens thereafter. Well, 2 minutes later, what am I thinking? Well, I'm going to go back, smoke me another joint. No, you're going to be picked up. And you are going to be eating those cold mayonnaise sandwiches and wearing that orange jumpsuit that stinks that somebody else was wearing before you. In other words, it's like, okay, come on, you've got to, someone has got to say to them, and look, you got homeboys now. You got homeboys, you got to say, hey, man, look, no. You know, you can't get loaded, flash $5,000-6,000 in your hand while holding a stolen Glock on YouTube. You can't do that. And you see the serial number and everything. You can't do that. You gotta say, hey, look, man, see, that's your mind thought that you could actually do that and there would be no recourse.
Yeah.
And it seems as though we don't want to say that's some stupid stuff. You get loaded, you do stupid stuff.
Right.
It's almost as if we say that, then what? We uncool. Man, you being uncool. These guys can't get past saying, you see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Man.
We know you are messed up.
Man, look, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, what it is, you know what I mean? Like, when they try to tell you that, you ain't really trying to hear that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even want to hear that from you. Like, because you don't know. Like, you think you know, but you don't really know, you know?
Huh? What?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Can I go to Tracy here? Tracy, good morning. Thank you for being patient.
Hey, good morning,
I didn't
guys.
see
Happy
Miss
Friday.
Faye there. Yeah, good morning, Tracy.
Look, a quick word on the marijuana thing. You know, back when we were kids, I don't know what they're putting in it now or what they're making it out of now, but back when we were younger, marijuana was the last thing that would make you want to go and commit a crime unless it's going to get a candy bar or something, maybe egg a school bus. But I don't know what they're putting in it now that would motivate somebody to I know the thinking thing comes into it. But one thing that I've listened to your show all week, and this has been a pretty good subject all week, but one thing that I haven't heard anybody talk about is the cost in bodies. And when I say that, I mean, you know, for the young man that went up to Wiggins, I think, to go get the four-wheeler,
yeah,
they're up to 4 people that were involved in that killing now.
That's right.
For the drive-by in Gulfport, I think they've got 2 people, maybe 3 people involved in that now. Yeah. You know, and these crimes aren't being committed. The little shoe thing with the guy that got killed, that was one-on-one. But for the most part, if you look nationwide and around our area, they're getting our kids.
No, that wasn't one-on-one. No, the 16-year-old that was given the gun by the 17-year-old, and the 17-year-old now has been arrested.
Right, so that's 2 involved in that. So this that, in addition to the person who dies, we're losing, especially African American young men and even young women now. Yeah. We're losing them 2 or 3 at a time for each one of these crimes, right. And it seems like I know that in our day, if we came up with some crazy plans or some stupid plan between young kids who aren't thinking it through, the first thing I would think about was what my dad would do to me, and then even if I got past my dad, what my mom would think of me. You know, so these kids, I guess, don't really have that to on their minds, because I mean it was always on my mind what my dad would do to me.
I think it's accommodation too. I think it's accommodating. Let me ask you: Could your under 21-year-old smoke weed in your house?
No, my under 21-year-old couldn't smoke weed, and let me find out about it. For one thing, if they're not making the money to be in this house, pay the bills and everything, so they're under my control. It's a dictatorship here. I mean, yeah. You might have a choice as far as food goes, but other than that, nothing else. And also, marijuana, I don't know about now, but marijuana tends to make a person lazy at times, you know, where you just want to look at the clouds and not do what you need to do. And for a young kid, that would affect them really adversely, you know.
Yeah. I think so too.
But this thing with the murders that are going on, with our kids dropping 3 and 4 and 5 at a time, sometime with all these murders that are going on, this whole generation being wiped out again. You know, back in the 90s, it was crack that wiped out our generation, and the results of it, people selling and using. And now we got a whole other generation going in because of gun crimes, even though the drug crimes sentencing has gotten kind of, you know, where it's not really that bad. You still got the kids who are going down with these gun crimes and murders now, and it's still taking a whole segment of our people off the streets. I'll let you guys talk, man.
I agree.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting you should say that because I read something. Where was it? Was it? It may have been Urban League. I think it was a paper in the Urban League that suggested that right now, with gun violence, we have lost within a 10-year period, and what they were looking at was it was between 1958 and 1968. That's when America started actually sending people into Vietnam. I know that of course, we had not. In 1958, it was basically advisors because it was the French and the Australians were there, but we were being drawn into Vietnam. But I think there's this piece I read indicated that between 1958 and 1968, 10 years, 58,000 men or service people died in Vietnam, right? And according to this report, within that same amount of time, within 10 years, between 78 and 88, you had close to the same number involved, not in killed, but involved with shootings. In other words, those individuals who were victims and those individuals who were sent to prison. And so now we are on track to do the same thing. Here it is, we're in 2001, so between 2011 and 2021, we are on track to have 58,000 individuals involved in criminality as it applies to being killed, either doing the shooting or being killed. And that includes mass shootings. I thought that was very interesting, Ro.
Yeah.
Now, granted, 58,000 were killed in Vietnam. That's only killed. But what this report was saying was that it involved in in shootings, in gun violence, both the victim and the shooters. We're not rounding that corner at 58,000 lives lost in many ways, either by prison or in death. All right, quickly, Miss Faye here. Thank you, Miss Faye. I know that we've been kind of bugging in and out on you. Good morning. Miss Faye, are you there? Hello, Miss Faye. Yeah, Miss Faye.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Miss Faye. Thank you for calling back.
Yes, I was just saying that I have experience being around some of my grandchildren indulging and marijuana and stuff like that. One of my oldest said this is medicine or whatever it is, and then the other one said, well, I just want to feel normal. I said, well, if you have to do that to feel normal, you don't even know what normal is. You know, but
let me ask you, what did he mean by that? I've heard that before, that from individuals, that if they don't, then they won't feel normal. So how is he? Have you ever known him when he was not under the influence?
Yes, I have, but because when he's not under influence, he's normal to me because he makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, and his disposition changes because he's not have a humbugish like he is when he's doing that, and then he wants your attention. He wants you to listen to what he's saying, and he's saying it about 10 or 25 times, and I tell him, I'm not going to listen to this. You already said what you want to say, so stop talking to me. That's it. Because I mean, it does not make any sense. My oldest grandson, he is a smart guy. He had been in prison because of the things that he tried to do, and he's not good at it. And they told him he's not good at it. And when they tested him, they told him, and he's so smart, he could be anything he wants to be. And they didn't want to see him back again. So, I mean, it's just up to him.
Yeah, that's the worst kind, actually, those who have a very good IQ because they think they're smarter than everybody else, and unfortunately, they outsmart themselves.
Oh, yeah.
But let me ask you about this, about the marijuana thing. And granted, most, and I'm going to say it again, most individuals who indulge are not out shooting people. There's no doubt about that. However, what has been found is that those individuals who do have been under the influence. And by the way, I'm not ruling out Caucasians in this as well. Caucasians, alcoholism has been a very, very close link, and marijuana. But so when he says that he wants to feel normal, does he have a medical condition?
Not that I know of. I think that his coping mechanism is off.
His what now?
Coping.
Coping skills, yeah.
You know, some things people can't cope with them.
I understand.
They feel like if something happened, it's against them, and they don't realize that things happen to everybody.
Yeah.
You might lose a job. It might not be your fault, but you got to go through that.
Yeah.
Anything that negative might happen to you, you can't let that turn you negative.
Yeah. Amen to that.
And that's all there is to it, because when you don't think that everybody's against me, because I told my children when I was raising them, the world don't love you. And that's all there is to it. You got to make your life the way you want it. It's up to you. If you want to live a good life, you can live a good life.
Right.
That's all there is to it.
All right, Miss Faye said it well. I have no doubt that a man who was high said, it rhymes with "it happens." One of the best posters I ever had on my wall. Do they still make that?
I hadn't seen that one in a while.
You know, there's a poster that has these two birds.
Yes.
You know,
I've seen the poster.
Is it the two? No, that's the ones with the two buzzers that says, you know, wait, hell, I'm going to kill something. It was another one that had, it was two individuals sitting there, and the bird craps on his head, or something craps on his head, and the other guy says, it happens. Do you have that poster?
I haven't.
I'd like to get that. I want you to know the person who came up with that was high.
You think so?
I don't doubt it was during the hippie, irresponsible, bearded, smelly kid era.
I think they were, but like the person they were talking to was not, and the person they were talking to was like complaining about whatever
right.
happened.
Yeah.
And he was just like, hey, man.
It happens.
It happens.
It happens. And so you keep it moving. You don't lose it. And I think that coming up, that was one of my generational things. That was probably the one thing that helped me more than anything else, and that was that in Murphy's Law, what can go wrong will go wrong at the worst possible time. And so you were always preparing for a rainy day.
Yeah.
You know,
because it was going to keep happening.
but I didn't have any anxiety. It was like, okay, just in case. There was always just in case. Just in case. You kept that case with you.
Yeah.
You know? You know, what is that with you? What is that in your hand? That's my just in case. That's what it is. I crack myself up. I mean, and you didn't need therapy to do it. It's like, okay, well, you know it's going to happen. What can go wrong will go wrong at the worst possible time. You don't cry about it. You have a just in case. 228-896-9455. Can I go to Terrence? Terrence, good morning. How are you, man?
Hey, good morning. Rip, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Roa tell you in your ear why you burst out laughing so loud. Have you pontificated upon the transient thought of issuing a certificate of studio learning to people that have listened to your show and hours or more.
No, brother. I would give a trophy, certificate. Are you kidding me? I got people who are listening to me right now who can't let anybody know they listening to me. They got the little earbuds.
They've listened more than anyone.
When you was talking, my mind fell on opioids, alcohol, tobacco versus marijuana. And given the two thoughts, marijuana has never had the problems categorically that you've had on the alcohol, tobacco, and opioid side.
I'd agree with that.
So,
I agree with that. There's no doubt. This is not some advocacy against marijuana by no stretch. It's about indulgence. Yeah.
Right. And if you, for some reason, a long time ago, I remember reading looking at some old historical stuff, do some political maneuvering where they made marijuana, put it on a federal drug schedule for the lobbyists to start pushing tobacco in America many years ago. Because at one point, marijuana wasn't even an issue in America.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's no doubt about the fact that, cannabis was used to make clothing and ropes and so forth. There's no doubt about that. But smoking it was quite another matter. But let me just tell you this. I don't want you to get the impression that somehow or another this is a marijuana conversation. What this is an indulgence conversation. It could be marijuana, it could be meth, it can be whatever. But I really do believe that what we are not doing is telling individuals who are under the influence how they act when they're under the influence. In other words, or alerting them that, hey, look, man, you loaded right now. You ain't thinking right. You know what I'm saying?
Are you going to do a private study?
I'm sorry?
Are you going to have a consensus group where you do a little private study and invite some people into a room?
No.
And they just begin to smoke one?
No. No, I'm not going to do that, Terrence. No, I'm not going to have that. And if I was, I wasn't going to let anybody know on this show. It doesn't take that. But let me tell you what it takes. It takes someone, a friend of mine admits that when he drinks vodka, he's the smartest man in the world. And he had to learn that the hard way. His wife had to record him. And when he was drinking vodka, she recorded him and his arguments, and he's the smartest man in the world, and he listened to it, and he had to come away from that with, you know what, I can't drink that much vodka, and he'll tell you, when I drink vodka, I'm the smartest man in the world. So now he avoids drinking vodka. In other words, you got to know your limitations. Is my point. You got to know even how much of any one thing you will indulge in. I mean, you can't smoke a stogie, a big old blunt, 5 or 6 times a day and not think that your reasoning is going to be impaired. And what we've got to do...
Weird?
Go ahead.
Am I weird because I've never been high or drunk in my life?
No, I don't think you're weird at all. I think you're happy. Obviously, it works for you. Look, I don't...
So which one should I do first?
I don't think you should do anything but make what makes you happy. I think that not everybody, it has more to do with doing something to excess. I think every chemical, and I appreciate you calling, every chemical, every plant on this earth has some purpose. However, overindulgence or gluttony is never a good idea. You got me? You got to know your limitations. You got to know your limitations. And there are some things that you can't do once. Other things you can't do enough of. And you can't live your life experimenting with everything. The greatest laboratory you got is you. And if you put something in there that's not supposed to be in there, guess what? It's only going to affect you. But unfortunately, your decision while under that influence can affect other people. I mean, it'd be a wonderful thing if all you did was peed on yourself and got found in the ditch. Unfortunately, that's not how it's been working. We'll be back.
It's a new day with Rip Daniels, the #1 talk show in South Mississippi on Jay-Z 94.5.
Yeah! For the first time, it's going down history, baby. New 3-6 Mafia, featuring 8-Ball and MJG, Young Buck. It's a Tennessee thing. We gotta stay. Till I die. I gotta stay. Till I die. I gotta stay.
All right, folks, good morning to you. Rip Daniels here. Thank you for joining us. The show is called It's a New Day. There's only one rule now, no such thing as a right or wrong opinion. Watching very closely what's happening in my beloved city of New Orleans, particularly in the 9th Ward on St. Claude in front of Hank's Supermarket. It has come to this now. There is more firepower right now in front of Hank's Supermarket than you can find in the small town of Wiggins. And I'm not talking.
It's debatable.
I'm not talking law enforcement officers. I mean, what I'm saying here is on the street in front of their supermarket. Why? I'll tell you why. Because a unlicensed security guard killed a man by the name of Garrison. The New Orleans PD said it was a justifiable homicide. The other people said that it was not justifiable, but the long and short of it is that now you've got the Panthers out there fully armed. You've got other bodyguards out there fully armed. I'm talking about with Kevlar vests, the whole works. There is enough firepower in this small spot, folks, that if, in fact, one person starts to shoot, it would take just about half of the New Orleans Police Department to stop this. And this is what I'm afraid of. Everybody's got a right to carry, and everybody is strapped. And black, white, brown, indifferent, or undecided are out there right now, Ro. And how do you put this fire out? Or actually, how do you keep it from catching fire?
Yeah.
And if it does, New Orleans is going to have hell on his hands. You know, you see. Okay, I'm going to go to the phones here, but we'll get into this after our next hour. But if you go online, go ahead and post this on our Facebook page here. This is pretty serious. This could be the spark that starts serious shooting. Here's a guy sitting there with his AR-15, and you've got serious firepower. That, along with the Panthers saying shut it down. We'll get to it in just a bit. I want to go to Nikki here. Where are you? Good morning, Nikki.
Good morning, Rip. Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
How are you?
I'm doing well, Miss Nikki.
Okay. Yeah, I want to talk about the little marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have a 27 and a 21-year-old. No, I do not allow them to smoke in my house, but my 27-year-old, at 21, he had anxiety so bad, and as you know, we don't have legal marijuana here, nor do we have anything that other than antidepressant medicine, which he said that it made him so down, and then when it wore off, it made him act a fool. It made him go back in beast mode.
Well, we do have
he
CBD
didn't like
here.
Antidepressants.
Yeah.
So he went, and said, Mom, they say that the legal marijuana and cannabis is what's working, and you need to try it too, Mom. You need to come on, and we need to go where the states are legal. So I said, okay, Tommy, if you're saying that it's curing people the way that it's supposed to, and the people are, this is the hype, this is a new thing other than antidepressants, I said, I'll try it too, because he know that I have a problem with depression too, because I'm a CNA and I work with Alzheimer's and dementia, and sometimes they get on my nerve, and anything else in other jobs you got. Ain't nothing going to be just easy. But anyway, so Yeah, we left here about 4 years ago and went to one of those legal states. I won't say the name, but we went to one of those legal states and we got hooked up with it. And so far, they're calm and they're not shooting up and banging. But when I came home, I talked to my nephews and stuff, which is the same age, and they said, Auntie, what they giving us, we be smoking, Auntie, is not the same thing that your boy is smoking because we can tell the effect. They said, well, El Chapo, which we know he got 80% of, they told us. I don't know, I'm not a El Chapo or nobody else fan when it comes to, sell cannabis. But anyway, they said El Chapo, he's spraying pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides. See, pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides, it's a chemical in itself that makes you go crazy. Any two times they done took Roundup off of the count, saying that it caused people to have cancer. Years later now, it's not when they was first cropping with the Roundup. It is causing people to have cancer. Now, when you go out to one of those legal states that got cannabinoids, they tell you on the thing is this right here was raised with no herbicides, fungicides, or the other side, pesticides. Nothing is on this. So you're not smoking all that stuff that 1 minute you, like you said, when you were young, you're happy, and then the next minute you got COVID. You ready to click off, shoot up everybody in the neighborhood, going over people's houses, being messy and all of this. If you go in one of those legal states, what the kids say, what most of these Americans, what they call themselves, you go in one of those states where they at, and you see them, they kids, they on their skateboards,
So what I'm hearing you say,
that's how what children do.
So what I'm hearing you say is that
it is a difference.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say is that street marijuana may have something in it that makes it.
Right. It does. Ain't no may. It does. Because why wouldn't you go to legal states? They tell you this. They tell you it's no herbicides, pesticides, or fungicides. That's what makes it able to be effective the way they want it to be effective because it's all in the soil.
What do you think about that, bro?
If you grow.
Well, let me check with Rose. So what do you think that maybe she's on to something, that the street marijuana is actually the reason why? Not, and again, it doesn't affect everybody the same, but I could tell you the effects seem to be completely different from what it used to be way back when on people I see that's on it.
Oh, absolutely. I don't dispute anything Nikki said, and as a matter of fact, I've been told that you can taste the difference. A lot of times you can actually taste.
It's louder, I can tell you that.
Well, not that. You can taste what tastes like actual bug spray in some of the street products here. So I that didn't come to mind immediately, but she's absolutely right. The amount of care and cultivation is drastically different than what you're getting on the black market and now the legal market. So as you said, there are a lot of new strains, a lot of new potencies that's come from, botany throughout the years, putting different things with different things, making stronger strains of marijuana plants. But also, as that legal market was rising, the black market also wanted to make sure more was pumping out, especially out of Mexico. It's hard to quantify how much marijuana comes illegally out of Mexico. So yeah,
they say 80% of them, the drugs that come over here is from Mexico.
Yeah.
So of course the cartel don't want to get. They have our children, so from back in the day and from other stuff that they be buying from the cartel. Of course the cartel don't want to let the legal marijuana in because they want to have somebody still sell, but they done told El Chapo to, you know what I'm saying, to let that part go. And who
I think I lost you, Nikki.
Getting them off of that too.
Right. All right, Miss Nikki.
We hopefully.
Well, let me ask you this. So your medical so you at the time when you were in another state, you had medical marijuana. I'm just curious. Did you find that people avoided the street marijuana and instead tried to seek a prescription for the medical marijuana?
Oh yeah. It's much more it's much more once the people started. Once you get on it and it gets into your system, you can see yourself. You can feel yourself elevate. Like the hybrid, the sativa strands. Like you got to say the kids are going to sleep. No, the sativa strands. The strands are on these campus, these college campus. The strands are on those campus because those kids have figured out how much and what strand they need to make them do this and that. And when you go to talking to them, you can even tell in their conversation that their mind is kind of like what the Indians tried to do to conquer these different lands. They hallucinated. You can tell that their minds hallucinate on what you ask them. They're not one straight track mind. Yeah. Like opioids, like depression medicine,
of course,
it shuts you down and makes you stop.
Well, I agree with that. And I got to move on, Miss Nikki. There's no doubt that drugs affect some people differently. You might find one that hallucinates, and the other one become inwardly genius. I don't know, but it's still it's an intoxicant. You're still under the influence. I mean, and the question here is whether it is for good or for bad. And there's no doubt. Yeah. It's no doubt that an individual who gets loaded off of some of the stuff we have now on the street and then shoot up a car or a house is for bad. And my thought is, and this is, you just posed something. I got to move on. You just posed something that I think merits some investigation, and that is this the potential for actually having herbicides and pesticides,
fungicides,
on marijuana, and if you indulge in it, then you're going to be smoking that too.
Definitely.
Quick break. We'll be back.
If you missed it, check out It Is a New Day with Rip Daniels on Podbeam, YouTube, and itisanewday.com. When you don't listen, you miss something.
Champagne when I'm thirsty. Bring me a reefer when I want to get high.
All right, folks, good morning to you. Rip Daniels here. Thank you for joining us. Show is called It's a New Day. There's only one rule, no such thing as a right or wrong opinion. Quickly, I want to go to my friend Galloway. There you are, right there. Good morning, Galloway.
Good morning, Mr. Daniels. How you doing down there, sir?
I'm doing well, sir. Thank you for calling.
Okay, before we get into it, I just want to know, does the Almanac, do y'all ship all that good food y'all be talking about? Do y'all ship it to Texas at least?
Nah, we don't do the shipping, brother.
No, all right, man. Every time I listen to those commercials, man, you talk about missing home, man. All we got around here is some breakfast burritos and some briskets, so we ain't doing too good on the food department.
Well, hang in there. Come home soon, brother. All right, Galloway, in Texas.
Yeah, but getting into it, like I was telling Rose, my son, where's my house? He just lived in it down there in the 6th Ward in the Treme. And this been going on, the standoff has been going on 7 months. He was actually shot 9 months ago. And the person that shot him, it was witnesses said that the store owner, which is an Asian man, was being very rude and disrespectful to an elderly black woman. That's why the young man stepped in to intervene.
That was Corey Garrison was the young man who intervened in October, yeah.
Yes, and he intervened, and now they have surveillance camera, which the police won't release. I called the district attorney. The DA said they don't have any knowledge of the case. So really? I'm trying to figure out, you got an armed standoff going on, but you don't know why they're having an armed standoff in your own city. You know what I'm saying? Does that make any sense? I mean,
so the district attorney, it was deemed by police a justifiable homicide. So the district attorney has got to know something.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting at. He doesn't know it. His office don't know anything, and the DA is a brother. So I don't know, the police and the district attorney is not talking, or they're like, hey, we got so much other stuff going on. This is just another, another victim. So they're not really coming. But my son told me, I think it was last week. He said that's the most he's seen. He said it was 30 armed protesters, and he said each protester had at least one gun. Some protesters had up to 3.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the Panthers, the Black Panther party's there as well. Not to be confused with the old Black Panther parties for defense. So go ahead.
This not only the new Black Panther Party, but you have some Caucasians out there standing with the in solidarity with the armed protesters. Now, the kicker with this whole situation is...
So I'm seeing one guy here with an AK, a Caucasian guy. So they're standing in solidarity with the store at Hank's supermarket?
No, they're not standing with Hank. The Caucasians that my son is talking about, they're standing with the protesters, wanting Hank's to be shut down.
Right. And so...
Yeah, now see...
Go ahead.
The armed guy you see is the security guard.
Now, one of the security guards that Hank's hired, this dude is a convicted felon who actually shot into an apartment complex. And he got a slap on the wrist, and the state of Louisiana found out that he was being, they hired him. Now, Hanks has to pay $20,000 for, hiring this convicted felon. He's not even supposed to have a weapon.
Yeah, he's not a certified security guard, so they're having to pay $20 grand, yeah.
And he's not supposed to own a weapon, but still, somehow he's not arrested for being a felon in possession of a weapon. This is a bad situation all the way
So
around.
is that the same security guard that killed Garrison or no?
No, this is a different security guard.
It's a different security guard. Yeah. What happened to the security guard that killed Garrison? Is he no longer there?
Oh, he doesn't work there anymore, but, he's roaming around New Orleans or Louisiana somewhere, If the police, I just never seen where the police, wouldn't charge somebody and the district attorney didn't know anything about, a homicide attack.
So I don't understand the why they are armed and what is the standoff? The Panthers want them to be shut down, and so why all the guns? Is that some anticipation of a showdown? Hang on, Galloway, we'll be back.
WJZD FM Long Beach, Pascagoula, Biloxi, the all-new JZ 94.5.
Time for jazz at 11. You know how Webster defines cool in the dictionary? Webster defines cool as Miles Davis. You know, there was a time, ladies and gentlemen, when all you had to do was stand on the corner of Lynch Street and Ferry Street with a Miles Davis album under your arm and you were considered cool. I think that's what we've lost. No more cool, bro. How old is that? Miles Davis? I had to be Miles.
That was definitely Miles Davis from the movie soundtrack Elevator to the Gallows.
Yeah.
Or Ascenseur pour le Chapon.
What does that mean?
Elevator to the Gallows.
Elevator to the Gallows. So that was a live piece?
No, actually. Well, yeah, kind of. This is a soundtrack that Miles didn't write. He performed it to the movie, and they recorded it as he performed it. So they showed, he was in the theater, just him.
What was the name of the movie?
And his band. Ascenseur pour le Chapon. Or Elevator to the Gallows. Sorry, French-speaking people.
Yeah.
Okay? I only took 2 years of French. Get off my back. Anyway, this was a freestyle album, basically. He didn't write anything for this. He just watched the movie, and as he's watching it, he plays and they record the soundtrack. That was the first time that it had ever been done, and that's what led him to make the Cool album with, of course, Coltrane and many others. This whole idea of this improv type style.
Really?
Yeah, and he helped kind of build all that.
So this is the album that he put his first wife's picture on the album?
No. That was Someday My Prince Will Come, where he took the Snow White song and made it into a jazz masterpiece. That was after they had put Caucasian Lady on Miles Ahead, and he got very upset about it.
So the next album he put his woman on it.
That's right.
Not Cicely Tyson, though.
This is before Cicely Tyson, no. This is Frances.
Yeah.
Frances Taylor Davis.
All right, folks, good morning to you. Rip Daniels here. Just trying to keep the jazz alive here, folks. Nothing wrong with playing and learning how to and continue playing. My friends who graduated from Rush College know something about that, or from Jackson State. So practice. 228-896-9455, that's the number to call. And the date's Friday, which means we talk about whatever. But I really wish we would bring back some cool. I mean, hip is all right. Hop is not. Cool is in. Cool is taking your time and do it all without hassle, without drama. All right, let's go back to the phones here. Something unfolding there in the Ninth Ward on St. Claude. Tiny store by the name of Hank's Supermarket. Kind of a standoff going on, protest because of the death of Corey Garrison that happened in October. Had according to reports, he had a gun in his waistband, and for whatever reason, the security guard ended up shooting him. The law enforcement there in New Orleans said it was a justifiable homicide, and there are folks who are not happy about that. And so now the Panther Party's there, members are there, as well as others who are very heavily armed, wanting to shut down the supermarket. So back to Galloway. Galloway, appreciate you holding on. You said you have your son living in close proximity. Does your son anticipate a showdown with these folks?
From my understanding, he told me it's been going on so long that it's kind of like nobody really caring. But then every now and then, the Panthers are using the bullhorn. And it's deterring some of that man's business away. So they're kind of getting what they want for the business-wise, but for charges or civil rights violations or anything wrong against the store or the person that shot Corey, nothing on that end is happening. So it's kind of like I said, it's just a stalemate. And now the NOPD is letting everybody exercise their Second Amendment rights. So it's not like they. He said, it's not like they ride around. Looking at them, checking to see who got a gun, who don't. He's like, if they do ride by there, they just keep going. It's like they don't want to get involved in it.
Yeah. This is a pretty busy intersection. St. Claude and Franklin's a very busy intersection. I've got property there in and around Tonti and that area. That's It's you're near the Bywater area is where you are. It's kind of a mixed area there, both all kinds of people, black, white, brown. Actually, there's a lot of gentrification going on right now. Well,
Yeah.
so to keep us posted on it, if you would, by way of your son Galloway.
Oh, okay, and just before I let you go, Mr. Daniels, I really want your audience to pay attention to how many years Derek Chauvin received today. Because if he's only getting at 12, 2/3 of his time he'll be out in 8. And I'll hang up and let y'all listen, sir.
But he hadn't sentenced him yet, though. I hadn't seen that pop up yet.
No, I'm just saying, watch for the sentences.
Watch for the sentences. What do you think he's going to get? We asked that on our Facebook page. So what do you think he's going to get? The DA is recommending 30, and Judge Kaplan has indicated that he's also going to consider another case that Chauvin was involved in, where there was another choking of an individual as well. Go ahead.
Honestly, Mr. Daniels, if he gets more than 10 years, I'll probably turn a cartwheel. I don't think he's going to get more than 10.
Really?
Seriously, I've been around this stuff just since I retired, and it's just mind-boggling the way our sentencing guidelines work in this country.
Yeah.
When I say 10, I mean he'll be out in 6.
Out in 6 years.
I'm serious. I'm not expecting anything more than 10.
All right, appreciate it.
And that's the truth.
Thank you for calling. 228-896-9455. He was found guilty. I said found guilty in 3 counts, actually, 2nd degree, 3rd degree, and manslaughter. So he could be facing really up to 40, 45 years. What do you think, Ro? You think he's going to get that?
I think he's going to get at least 30.
Well, Stephen Palazzo now has come out to admit that there is climate change, and now he's joining a
what?
Well, I say admitted. The point is that he's now joined a group that is for having what they call considerate climate discussions. Let's put it that way.
Huh.
It's incredible.
It's better than denial, I guess.
Yeah, and of course, Giuliani has now been suspended.
Suspended. House raided. Oh man, it's a bad week for Rudy.
Giuliani. It's just incredible. And of course, Nancy Pelosi is now calling for a committee to investigate January 6th. I don't think they have subpoena power. I hope they do, but I don't think they do. However, the court case just recently suggested that, if in fact, even if you're with the administration, as was the presidential attorney, if the court subpoena you, then you got to show up. McGahn was the one who did not show up for the court case, and that's why it ended up in the Supreme Court. And so now, hopefully this committee will have subpoena problem and can subpoena the former president to determine what he did 5 hours while the police were getting the heck beat out of him. Quickly to Eric. Eric, good morning. Thank you for being patient. Where are you, Eric? Eric, you still there? Yes, no, maybe so.
Good morning, Rip.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Mm-hmm. What's on your mind?
Yes, Rip, I live in the 7th Ward right here off of St. Bernard. As you cross St. Bernard, across Legion Fields, it turns into St. Claude, which is now considered the 9th Ward, the Bywater.
Right.
I used to frequent Hank's, frequently get food, usually on Taco Tuesdays, to feed my workers. It is a powder keg right now at Hank's.
Why?
Well, you have the new Black Panther Party, and you have now that attention is being brought, you got neighborhood activists out armed. It's Asian-owned store with mostly Mexican or Honduran workers. The store manager is the guy that shot Garrison for protecting the honor of an elderly black lady. Somebody cut in front of her, and he was defending her honor, and it escalated. He shot the guy outside of the store.
So
he was they went there late. It was a late night. He went out. His uncle and aunt was outside of the store. The video footage has yet to be released. So this is what the protest is all about. They have yet to release video footage of the shooting.
So this happened back in October, and I'm trying to figure out the standoff. So in other words, there's protest, and everybody who's protesting is armed, is what I'm hearing.
Their armed protests. Hanks has increased security to the perimeter of the store. They are protesting on the neutral ground, which New Orleans neutral ground is basically public property.
So is it the neutral ground on St. Claude or Franklin?
On St. Claude.
Yes.
If you're going toward Poland, heading toward Poland Street,
right,
toward the lower Ninth Ward. This is the upper Ninth Ward.
Yeah. I know exactly where you are. On Poland, that's where there's a Bacchanals is down there at the end of Poland and Charters. Yeah. That's down toward the river. So I know exactly where this is. So what I'm trying to figure out though is, so everybody's armed. Do they anticipate shooting? I'm sorry.
To the T. People are armed to the T, and it's getting more chaotic. Hanks has increased security, and the protest, now that people are getting more aware of it, it just made the Times-Picayune. So as people are getting more aware of it, activists in the community and the black community are it's getting very hectic.
So and law enforcement is not
NOPD has increased. I'm not going to say that they have a static off duty or on duty presence there, but the presence is more prevalent now.
It is. And so what the activists or the Black Panther Party, the new Black Panther Party, want is for Hanks to shut down.
Well, not only that, they want them to be more transparent and with NOPD as far as releasing video footage. I just saw, I think it was yesterday, that they have more than 35 cameras, external cameras and internal that would shed more light whether it was justifiable or not. The new Black Panther Party and community people want NOPD and the store to be more transparent. If it's justifiable, release the video footage.
What about his family? What about Garrison's family? Have they filed suit or have they?
His family. Well, that I don't know yet.
Yeah. I guess the biggest thing is you realize the video cameras is up to the owner, and if the owner did the shooting,
right, and they have yet to release the footage. If it was justifiable, why not release it?
Well, the question would be whether or not they have the cameras. In other words, if it wasn't justifiable, I'm sure upon the owner killing Garrison, he probably would have done away with those cameras. I could tell you that.
It was a store manager. It was a store manager that actually killed him, and the security guard they filed I think a $20,000 judgment against. They had an unlicensed security guard, and he had been charged. I don't know if you're coming down Claiborne. They have a club right there on Claiborne. It's called the Hideaway.
Yeah,
he was charged recently with shooting in the parking lot, so he wasn't licensed. He wouldn't be able to get a license anyway.
That's incredible. That's no place to have this sort of thing. I can tell you that. That is.
But I can tell you, I frequently travel through there, coming down Franklin to making my turn on St. Claude here into the 7th Ward. Right. I've noticed more and more people are taking part into the protest.
Yeah. Well, keep us posted on it, Eric. Keep us posted. I'm actually supposed to be heading that way sometime here in the next few days, so I'm a cruise through that area.
Well,
I just,
Well, you should, and you can look me up, and we can throw back a gin and tonic.
All right, brother. Appreciate it. Hold on. I'll get your number here. 228-896-9455. Quickly, can I go to, let me go to Herbie here. Herbie, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Rip and everyone. That's why I say, man, we need that reparation so some people wouldn't be crowded up in that city like that. It'll solve a lot of them problems, Rip. Rip, that guy, he should get life. For the simple fact, all the damage that he caused, all the problems and the money he caused, if somebody finds leniency on him after that and watching him kill that man like that, that's backwards. That's whitewashing right there. Rip, I think...
Are you talking about Derek Chauvin?
We don't need the Black Panthers
Are you talking about Derek Chauvin? He should get life?
Yes.
I think he should get death.
Yes.
That's what I think.
Yeah, the damage he caused all over the world and everything else, all that, yeah. You need to make an example out of him so nobody else won't do that. Rip, we don't need the Black Panthers out there. We need Benny Thompson, Harris out there. That's a time bomb. Now, Benny, he's the ranking member. I tell you, rank has its privileges. he can put this as his top priority. This is for Homeland Security. What goes on in Louisiana going to affect the homeland all over here in America. That's why our problem is we ain't got good representation. If we doing it backwards, we not put people in positions that's supposed to be doing that. If that was Israel and a Palestinian threw a rock over there, they'll drop 10 bombs over there. They doing the black community like this. And we're allowing it to happen, and black people will come out in support of Israel. You probably support Israel for reparations, but not black people.
You know, Herbie.
And without tax dollars.
Herbie, you must write this up. You must write this up overnight and just rehearse this to come in.
No,
it's such a Benny Thompson. What would Benny Thompson? What would Benny Thompson have to do? What would Benny Thompson have to do with Hank Supermarket in Louisiana? What is that?
He's a black man and he sees something.
You are a black man, Negro.
What are you gonna do out there?
Why aren't you over there? Why aren't Herbie? Why aren't you over there? If you feel so strong about it, why aren't you over there?
When it's spread over here tomorrow, I'm gonna meet it at the line.
Oh boy, look. Let me tell you something. You have sat right there and let Confederate battle flags fly around you, and it took an elderly man to go over there and have it taken down. You have done absolutely, positively nothing. You can't even point at one thing you have done besides sit under a tree. That's all you've done. And then you get on the air and you call me and you flap your gums. Thank you very much, brother. I mean, you're a clown and you don't even know it. It's sad. People just pass by, throw peanuts at you. I mean, it's just sad. You do the same thing over and over. So everyone knows that you cannot bring yourself to blame the actual individual who hurt you. You got to go and grab Benny Thompson or Harris. When the reality is, if you've not figured it out yet, the power is in your hands, but you don't want it because you're too scared. I appreciate it. I'll give you your day in the sun. And you mess it up every time. But I don't doubt that there are folks. I get a few. I kind of agree. I kind of agree with Herbie without really thinking it through and go, okay, so now, here you have a man who is the congressman in Mississippi of the Delta. He's over Homeland Security. So Benny Thompson needs to go over there and shut down Hank Supermarket on St. Claude in New Orleans. Anything shy of getting, let's just say, what white guy? Oh, the governor. Bell Williams, or maybe even the two Caucasian senators, one of which is a ranking member. You can't call on them.
Bell Edwards.
I mean, it just gets to the point, Herbie, sometimes, I listen to you, and there are those who listen to you, but sometimes I don't think folks really understand what your stick is. Your stick is to do everything to denigrate every other Negro, including Rip Daniels. How much they pay you for that? They give you a Coca-Cola and a bag of Cracker Jacks? Really? I mean, it just, and you see it time and time again. He's the guy that just stands up, usually in some meeting or in the church meeting, saying everything, accusing everybody, criticizing everybody, and do absolutely nothing. Goes home, he sits down, and try to write up who he's gonna criticize next. And it's because he feels whatever should be done is effortless on his part. And that's just a clown. I mean, it's just, bro, now I want all of my, look, you give me the box. I endured that. What? Don't be flashing no little two cookies?
I mean.
What? That was at least a box of cookies, brother.
You want the whole box?
That
was back and forth.
I didn't just, okay, I let him get it all in until it was like, come on, man, jeez. I even offered the guy to come in and do some critique. He didn't even mention the Asian guy. The guy who shot Garrison. None of these people.
No, just the blacks that he wants to do what he won't do.
It's just amazing here, folks. All right, 228-896-9455. How about this, Mr. Sit Up Under the Tree with a handkerchief on your head? Kristen Clark. You know who she is? I tell you who she was. I told you that before. You can't give her any credit. No, you won't do that. This sister, yeah, you heard me right, is the head of the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division. You know what she's doing now? You'll never guess what she's doing now. She is on the part of the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, suing the state of Georgia for voter suppression. This sister. I don't expect for you to call back Herbie and give any accolades. Because after all, that's not what you're getting sold for Coca-Cola for. What you want to do is simply come in and say what Negroes are not doing to help your lazy ass. I get that. But I want you to know it provides me an opportunity to point out some African Americans who are out here in the trenches like yours truly who are really fighting. And it's really kind of disrespectful, but they make all kinds, and you have your opinion, like other parts of your body. But you need to not ignore the fact that Kristen Clark is now going after Georgia. And when I say that she's the head of the Justice Department Civil Rights Division, if in fact someone decides against Hank Grocery Store to file federal charges like, let's just say, the city of New Orleans, or for that matter, the family of Garrison who was shot, pursuing civil rights violations against the dead, the dead guy. The Georgia law, as you well know, is designed to prohibit, actually, African-American participation especially. They'll try to tell you everything else besides, okay, yeah, well, we're going to extend the times. They managed to eke out maintaining voting on Sundays. The conservative legislature wanted to stop that. But here's the greatest thing that they're doing. What they're doing is allowing a committee appointed by the legislature to decide whether or not the voters' vote should count. Heretofore, ladies and gentlemen, you've got the circuit clerk. They provide that to then the Secretary of State, as what happened when Donald John lost Georgia. The Secretary of State, who happens to be a conservative, what he used to be, says, okay, no, there was no irregularities, no, it was no fraud, no nothing. You lost. So now the legislature passed a law to now say that the oversight of the voters' wish is done not by, or reported not by the Secretary of State, but now it goes to a committee to determine whether or not the voters really voted it.
No, we just got rid of that crap here with the governor, right? That whole legislative oversight. Well, did they really mean to vote? Did they mean to vote for him? I don't know if they meant to vote for him. Did they mean to vote for him? Let's just see here if they meant to vote for him. And then we got to take their word for it. Well, we didn't. Y'all didn't really mean to have a majority vote for him. So we went ahead and then selected this one for y'all.
Right.
No.
That's what they did.
Well, what's the point of the vote?
That is exactly what they did. That is exactly what this is all about, is putting the decision and the choice for the presidency or anything else in the hands of the legislature, the good old boys. Now, any one of you who agree with that is just...
That's some bull.
That is some bull. It's just crazy. Here you have each circuit clerk is elected. Listen to me. They're elected. And then the circuit clerk reads the votes, counts the votes, right? You have election commissioners elected. They're the ones who supervise the election and the voting system, all elected. And in Georgia, most of which were, in fact, conservative Republicans. Probably not anymore. They see the con job. If they don't win, then they change it. All of these people were elected. In other words, when I say elected, that means that there's oversight by all of these elected individuals. They're not chosen by the person who is running for office. These are individuals who are chosen by constituents, by people from the areas that they represent. And then, of course, it goes to the Secretary of State, elected statewide. And all he does is say, well, the election commission read them, and The circuit clerk read all of the votes, and here is the tally. Here's what the votes say. Bam. Joe Biden won. No, it couldn't have been. Come on. You can find me another 11 votes. Come on, you guys. Come on. I mean, you actually heard. And by the way, the president is still being charged, I want you to know. He's being charged for that, for election interference by the state of Georgia, as he should. But the legislators there, who are Trumplicans, can't bring themselves to say, look, Georgia did the election right, because Donald John said it wasn't. Now, ladies and gentlemen, my rule is very simple. I said it with Al Gore, and I'll say it with Donald John. I would have said the same thing with President Barack Obama. If you lose your own state, if your own state don't think you're worthy of their vote, then you don't need to be in there. Al Gore lost Tennessee. It wasn't Florida that was the big to-do for me. It was the fact he didn't win Tennessee. Had he won Tennessee, he would have won. The old counting of the ballots there in Florida, it wouldn't have been an issue. But he lost. That spoke by, look, if your own family don't like you, don't expect me to. I'm just saying, if you can't win in your own state. Of course, Hillary Clinton chose New York, and she was a senator from New York. But needless to say, she was there with Bill in Arkansas forever. She didn't win Arkansas. Of course, she did win New York. But, folks, you can't make this up. But when you see that it waddles like a duck, it quacks like a duck, flaps like a duck, I think it's a duck. We'll be back.
Turn your lights down low and pull your window curtain. Oh, let your moon come shining into our life again.
Oh, yeah. It's been a long, long time.
It's been a long, long time.
Oh, yeah.
I get this message for you, girl. But it seemed I was never on time. Still I wanna get through to you, girl. On time, on time.
Gotta give you some love.
I want to give you some love.
Oh, gotta give you some real good love.
I want to give you some good, good loving.
Oh, I.
Oh, I.
Oh, I.
Oh, I.
Oh, I.
Oh, I. Yeah, I want to give you some good, good loving.
Where's the gunji?
Turn your lights down low.
He would play that. And what is the gunji the same?
Give me the ganja down there. The real ganja you talk about.
What was that?
The real ganja you talk about from the island there, from the rock. That's what you speak. That's what you speak of.
Yeah. That is it. The preservatives on that ganja,
Nah. You're not putting no herbicide, pesticide, fungicide on the herb. You're not do that. You're not change the structure molecularly of the herb on the rock. You can't do that. Outlawed.
Huh. So why not? I mean, so in Jamaica they don't have fungicide and pesticide and so forth, so ganja just grows wild?
You're not gonna contaminate the herb. The herb don't need no extra. The herb don't need no, you come through, you spray this, you spray that, and you mess with the herb. You leave the herb alone, let it grow.
So
you take it.
So what does it grow in the cockpit area?
The nation. What?
It grows in the cockpit area there?
Grow all over there. Grow all over, but especially the cockpit. You know about that. Me know you know about that.
Do that too well. I have no idea, and I don't understand. Well, so what? So why the hat and all that? I don't. You don't have dreads. I know you don't have dreads. Why wear fake dreads?
Why I come dispute my method? This how me deliver me
So
performance.
the dress make you
to the
talk better?
masses.
Your patois better when you have
What?
your better
Have
fake
you
dress?
heard me without the art versus with the art on? Have you heard that? You not heard that, so you not know. You don't know.
I know.
You
I'm
don't
trying to listen and understand what you're saying.
You don't know.
I did not hear that. No, I did not hear that.
All right.
No, I did not.
All right.
I know that better not be a big old gunchie there in your
Don't
hand.
criticize. You not just ask for the spliff. You ask for the spliff and you say, no spliff, no ganja there.
I didn't ask for the spliff.
You say you want the ganja.
I said the ganja,
Well,
yeah.
me take it, me roll it for you. If I do, me make your life easier and you give me trouble.
Jesus.
You fret.
I don't know who he is anymore. All right, good morning, folks. Rip Daniels here. I try to maintain a show here, but there's about 27 different people or two other studios over there.
That's why you say thank you to my staff.
Jesus. I don't know who you are anymore. You get possessed with these people.
Oh, God, don't say that. God's already mad at us. Please don't say that.
Yeah, right. All right, good morning, folks. Rip Daniels here. Thank you for joining us. Yes, that was Ro. That's one of the best Jamaican accents I've heard in quite some time.
Yeah, I don't have Asian just yet.
Yeah.
I'm working on it, though.
He's working on it. There's no doubt about that. 228-896-9455. That's the number to call. Show it's called us a new day. Still waiting here on what is happening there in Minneapolis with Derek Chauvin and his sentencing. And I'm very hopeful that there will be a significant amount of time. I would say 30 years. As far as I'm concerned, the man should have gotten death, to be quite frank. I don't do degrees of guilt here with this, folks. That's why I'm against capital punishment. They have these degrees of guilt. You kill a man, then you gotta face that. Justice to me is you gotta give up that life. But that's not how it is, which is why I'm against the death penalty. So 228-896-9455. I would be remiss if I didn't weigh in here on what's happening in Miami. I'm watching this. It's just horrible. Just horrible. So here we are about 3 days after this building just collapsed. 4, has it gone up yet? 4 dead and 150 some odd still missing?
159 still missing.
A very good friend of mine and an extraordinarily good plumber and a mentor, actually. He was my first coach when I played Little League Baseball, Tyron Hudson. And many of the people in Mississippi City and Hansborough know him well. He's a plumber. He's always said that there's something going on with the soil. And I talked to several other plumbers, and they feel the same. You guys know I have an affinity for plumbing. And I do. You ever wonder where that water goes when it leaves your house? Well, trust me, it's all gravity. It's all gravity. Of course, you might have a pumping station or two, but for the most part, going back to the aqueducts of Rome, it's all gravity and no electronic parts in your toilet. But he said something that I've never forgotten, and he brought it up not long ago, suggesting that, the water table in this part of the world, and I dare say everywhere, is getting higher. And with this whole climate change thing, with water levels rising, we're looking out to the seas to see, is it high tide and where does it go? Well, there's some evidence of that. But it wasn't until he started saying that I started thinking about the water table being so high. And it is extraordinarily high. In some parts here on the coast, you can't even dig down with a shovel without hitting water, bro. Yeah. So if that is the case, you got to ask yourself, well, how is it that houses stand up? If you take a shovel, you go in your front yard and you dig down 2 feet. And here you have a house on a slab or concrete or just a house on piers. How does that house stand up on top of all this water that's got to be under all the dirt?
Yeah, I don't know that one. Stilts? I don't know.
No, it's no stilts. No, it's just displacement of the weight, the buoyancy. Theoretically, your house is always moving. It is floating, literally. Look, as a contractor, I put that hat on. Now, typically, when you're doing a building like that, that's 12 stories or so, or any building that has this kind of weight, you want to go down to what's called bedrock. Well, bedrock is extraordinarily deep when it comes down to this part of the world. I mean, it's one thing to dig and hit granite in New York. Another thing when you're on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, where you've got basically limestone. Hitting granite is is a bit far-fetched. When you see bridges like over Lake Pontchartrain going through Slidell and so forth, you're going to go down at least 30, 40 feet deep. And you're not going to hit bedrock, but you will hit some kind of clay component that hopefully is stout enough to hold a bridge up. Now, all that said, I think Tyron is right on to something when you look at the fact that you've got plumbing with running water, both sewer and pressure water. That, if you got a leak, it's going to add to the water table. And you can have leaks that go on forever. And I don't know whether you realize this, ladies and gentlemen, but when you have a hurricane, there are more people. It is the water damage that does the worst damage. Oh, wind is bad. There's no doubt about that. But that water, or wind-driven water, is a hammering effect. And that's what destroyed a lot of houses here during Hurricane Katrina, especially those houses that were south of the train tracks here along the Gulf Coast. It was water-driven by wind. It's a hammering effect. But my point is that he's saying that because the water table, climate change, is getting higher in the land, it is causing many buildings to go up, be unstable. Even your house is on a slab. We are seeing, contractors are seeing cracks in concrete that really shouldn't be there. In other words, there's movement going on. And it's not just because you're on unstable soil. It's because of the fact that the water is becoming too high. Look, folks, you cannot rule out the fact that in Florida, as of late, these doggone sinkholes. I mean, they had one, a year ago, where it swallowed an entire man or a whole house? I mean, they just open up. And, I saw the science on how these things happen. They have the limestone, and it causes a cavity and so forth.
Same principles apply here?
Same principles. And I'm not saying that's what happened here. I don't know. I wasn't there. But there's some evidence that this building was sinking and has been sinking, as many other buildings there. When you're that close to the ocean, the ocean doesn't just stay in the ocean. You have groundwater. Of course, you've got on one side the Atlantic, on the other side you got the intercoastal waterway. So it's an island, right? And that island was built literally with sandbars. What they're built on is Miami Beach is basically a sandbar that's built up over years. But the key here, and this is why I really like the plumbers here and think that they know more about this than others do, even geologists, they know the effect because they're digging through this soil. And they know the effect of the power of water submerged. In other words, if you're pushing water through a pipe and you get a pipe break, trust me on this, it'll take an entire building down because it causes a cavity. It literally pushes the dirt. It is the greatest force you can ever get. Over time, it will literally dilute whatever strength you have when it comes down to foundation. So my compliments to my plumber. I think he's onto something, and somewhere down the line, I guarantee you some plumber is going to say, I was in that building, and I saw this, and I saw that, and I reported it, and they didn't say anything. We'll be back.
Get the info. Stay informed. It's a new day with Rip Daniels, the #1 talk show in South Mississippi on Jay-Z 94.5.
This one is dedicated to all the workers that work 9 to 5. If you wanna party with the remix. Party with the remix. Hey, it's Friday. Let's party tonight. Come on, sing it with me. It's Friday. Yes, sir. It's the remix. And I'm gonna party
and get my groove on. Getting my groove on. It's the remix. It's Friday, baby, 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 baby. And I'm gonna party back till the break of dawn.
So Charles Jones there, folks. All right, good morning. Rip Daniels here. Thank you for joining us. Show is called It's a New Day. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, my friends listening on Dolphin Island. That's a good place to go over the weekend.
Yes, it is.
Speaking of islands and sinking, whoa, that's nothing but a sandbar.
Yeah.
It really isn't, but it's nice. All right, 228-896-9455.
So in response to the questions of the day here, first, would you like your under 21-year-old child to smoke in your house? Carolyn says, no smoking of any kind in my house. Kevin says, absolutely not. I don't smoke, never have, but I don't have a problem with those who do so for medical purposes. However, responsible parents establish standards, and those standards don't require explanation. It just is the way it is. Shanna says, I would not. First, it is illegal, and the other keyword is my house. Aisha says, I don't even fry chicken in my house.
Really?
So I know for a fact no one will be
even
smoking
fried
in
chicken?
it. Heard that.
No fried chicken?
I mean, fried chicken in her house.
You gotta be kidding me.
But she might do it outside.
You don't want no smoke in her house.
No smoke. No smoking.
Do you do some sausage?
Aisha, what about eggs?
What about a little toast? You don't put a little toast in the toaster? What about a grilled cheese sandwich? You gotta have a little
She don't fry chicken. I know she don't fry no fish. What about bacon? Not that I would eat it. Wendy says, I would not, but these killers are not under the influence of marijuana. These killers are on synthetic dog food.
Whoa.
Is this real? It's not being talked about as much as marijuana. Dog food usage is at an all-time high.
What? Are you serious?
That's what Wendy says.
Okay.
And with the other question of the day, what about Derek Chauvin's sentence? Gwen says life, but he won't get it. You know, he will do a little time and be back out on the street. He will never rest again with all the trouble he has in the future. Karma.
I will only hope karma. All right, 228-896-9455. Yeah, we're going to go to the phones, but first, I don't want to go off without mentioning this yet another installment into the hidden history of the African-American warrior. You guys need to know something about Isaiah Dorman. I know you probably have not heard of him. Do you know who Yellow Hair was/is? General George Armstrong Custer. Yeah, that Yellow Hair. It was the Battle of the Little Bighorn, and General George Armstrong Custer led 3 U.S. Army battalions to their deaths. Why? Because of his arrogance, born out of ignorance and bigotry. He just knew that the Sioux were not capable of number one, fighting, number two, winning. Well, he was warned not to go down there messing with those Sioux by Isaiah Dorman. Who was Isaiah Dorman? Well, he was an African-American cavalryman. You heard me right. It was 1876, ladies and gentlemen, and he knew something about horses. It's coming on the heels of the Civil War. He was in the United States Cavalry and as a U.S. colored troop, and went out west, became friends with those Sioux and other native tribes out there, to the point whereby they had a mutual respect for old Isaiah Dorman. So, Custer needed a scout, and Isaiah reluctantly decided, okay, I'll be your scout. I'll be your huckleberry. I certainly shall. And he became also the intermediary between the Sioux and the United States government. Well, Custer went down there messing with him. He told Custer, don't go down there messing with the Sioux, and he did, and needless to say, the Sioux took everybody out. It was a massacre of Custer, including Isaiah Dorman. All the other bodies of the soldiers were left there except for Dorman. The Sioux took him off and buried him with respect.
Wow.
Quickly to the doc. Doc, good morning. You get the last word.
Good morning. Now, you wear like that building fell out in Florida. All this stuff is beyond your imagination. It's like this black on black hate. it's beyond your imagination coming out in the open.
Well, that wasn't beyond my imagination. I knew that buildings could collapse, but I wouldn't trust the other buildings that's around it, that's for sure.
But nobody know what brought it down. Nobody know what's making black people hate each other.
What, do you?
I don't hate people.
Well, that's good. You and I then, so we're alike. If you don't know where you're going, any road to take it. Know where you're going, any road to take it. Know where you're going, any road to take it. Know where you're going, any road to take it. Know where you're going, any road to take it. Know where you're going, any road to take it. Know where you're going, any road to take it. Know where you're going, any road to take it. Know where you're going, any road to take it. Know where you're going, any road to take it. Know where you're going, any road to take it. Know where you're going, any road to take it. Know where you're going, any road to take it. Know where you're going, any road to take it. Know where you're going.